Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 577, and today we'll be doing battle with Zolani Spirits. And so, welcome back to the Battles with Bust. It's been a few weeks since we've put out a video, even longer since we battled with Bust on the old Legends of Runeterra ladder. Glad to be out here back in the Eternal season. I was a little late to the game. I had no idea that Eternal had even started. I just thought it was going to be months down the road, but it's here, and so hopefully we can help you hit Masters. We're hanging out around rank 30 or so. And so with the deck before you today, there's kind of two elements to this. If you've been a long-time follower of the channel, I've always been a fan of the Kayle Yordle's deck in Standard. We played a bunch of it in the various opens, had quite a bit of success with it, and it was looking to be an early game aggressive deck with the Yordle's package that finished out the end game with either Kayle or Zolani, or sometimes both. With the release of the Dreamlit Paths, I was definitely reminded of the deck. We just couldn't play the Spirit cards in Standard with Zolani and Kayle because, surprise, surprise, Zolani and Kayle were not in Standard. And so, if you haven't peeked out the deck and figured out the exact thing that we're trying to do, it's kind of a two-part combo that we're going to be pulling off today. First and foremost, we have the Spirit package, the Ionian Spirit package, if you will. If you take a look at a card like Spritelings, it is actually a 0/0 for 1 mana, and then the 2 stacks of Spirit are what gives it the 2/2 stat line. And so this is a unit with increased stats, which we're going to look to use to power up other abilities across the deck. That late game that we mentioned in the Kayle and Zolani is what we're speaking towards, with Kayle getting +1 attack anytime an ally with bonus attack power attacks. So if we attack with the Spritelings, it is an increased power unit, so it's going to be giving those bonuses to Kayle. Same thing applies to Zolani. Whenever Zolani has a unit with increased power die, it gets +2/+2. So anytime the Spritelings dies, the Zolani is going to be getting bonus power. And so across the board, we get this really excellent scaling kit coming out of the Spirits package. It works towards the Kayle, it works towards the Zolani, but there's also 2 other scaling Spirits-based cards within the deck. We have the Sprite Mother that gives the bonuses to all of the other Sprite Mothers and the other Spritelings, and then we have the Heart of the Tree, which is able to give Spirit to the units everywhere. The Heart of the Tree is another real powerhouse within this deck. This is a card that when the Dreamlit Pass was released, I was a big advocate for it being one of the most powerful cards in the set. It just had the horrific problem of being in Ionia, and the second horrific problem of being in a format completely dwarfed by the Elder Dragon. Now, with the Elder Dragon kind of nerfed, the Heart of the Tree only costing 6 mana, this is a card that has been spectacular, and it really shines within this meta, summoning a Spritelings, giving the bonuses everywhere, and then generating a big expensive card to help close out the games. Ideally, we'll see some big action coming out of this. Outside of the Spirits package, we have a few other hits within here. Zoe does not particularly tie into the abilities that we're doing, but she is one of the most strong and value-centric early game plays within the game. There's never a time that you aren't excited to get Zoe on the board, and so while she doesn't fit a lot of the themes of the deck, she is just one of the absolute highest quality cards that you can have, and so she finds the cut here. Otherwise, we have a bit of an interactivity package coming from the spells, the Black Shield here to protect our Kayle and Zolanis from spells, the Deny to counter our opponent's big spells, and then a small interactivity package between the Homecomings and the Sunburst to shut down the opposing plays. And so, that is it. That's what we're doing battle with today. Let's go ahead, jump into this Eternal queue, see if we can't find ourselves a good game or two. Okay, what do we got? Riven Viktor. Sure thing, my dude. What do we got here? We'll go ahead and kick it off with the Spritelings. I don't like hanging on to Mr. Root. He's not a particularly strong early game attacker. He does fit the bill for a lot of the things that we're doing, that he is a Spirit-based unit and can boost the stats on some of our other things, but we're really looking for Spritelings, we're looking for Zoes, we're looking for the Dewdrop Harvest, something that gives us a little bit more combat effectiveness here in the early game. Now with this, if it was our attack token, I would take the trade, but with it being the opponent's attack token, we'll just have to wait around a turn for this Spritelings. Not a huge deal to have it kind of miss out on a combat there. Alright, bonuses are coming in. Getting the bonuses to the Kayle, the bonuses to the Zolanis. We got a bit of a shitty hand here, right? It's not the end of the world with this just lack of things to do that we have, but we have a very spell-heavy hand at the start here. It makes it a little bit awkward. Should have a decent place to get Zoe into combat here, though. Let's see what she can do the next turn. I'm interested to see. I mean, she has a strong open attack. She should be able to generate us something to do. She's protected with the Black Shield, but I think we do have to prevent some of this combat. We'll just get blown out by combo plays if we just let these ballistic bots run free. Alright, so let's do this. I'm going to drop in a Dewdrop Harvest. We'll make another Spriteling and then get an attack in after the fact. It's like if the opponent wants to play a burn spell onto Zoe, it's not really the end of the world. We're just trying to find a way to get some kind of value out of this Pale Cascade. Just a very awkward game drawing the half dozen utility elements out here, and so just have to see if we can recover out of this. Alright, so we'll get the Ballistic Bot off the board. Again, I'm really just trying to come in and prevent a bunch of damage here. The opponent's going to be going for like a big combo turn. It was much more easy to see before the Enraged Dragon got nerfed into his shitty state as to where they were able to play like the big 8-power dragon and hit it with a might. That's what the opponent's going to be trying to do here today. And so I think if we preserve our life total, we might be able to just come out and control deck him a little bit.
Finally, peace. These hands know metal and
We're going to have to prevent as much damage as we can here. I assume he's going to attack with everything, and then we'll just take the 4. Again, not super worried about losing Zoe's in this space. She's not a particularly strong build-around card in this deck. She's just a value generator. So hopefully we can still slow this down a little bit, prevent that damage, and then if we ever draw any of our scaling cards, maybe we'll be off to the races. Nope, it's just not going to happen. it's just not going to happen this game. We can still at least get reasonably big on this board. We can get the second Dewdrop Harvest. We can get a Petal Pixie. We could sleep the Petal Pixie to get another Spriteling. Ideally, we're going to be using the Dewdrop Harvest to Spriteling onto, or to hit the Everywhere bonus with our whatchamacallit, Sprite Mother, but we'll see if that brings itself out. So we've got to manage the board right here. We want to blow up the landmarks, sleep out the Sprite Mother, then we can get that extra board space to get our last dude on board. We're about to get blown up by these elusives. It's a little bit of a pain point, but it kind of is what it is. Alright, finally a Kayle, but she's just a little bit too little too late. So here we do have at least a decent block on the Castaway. I didn't attack last turn because we take a ton of damage if he gets to just put the scout equipment onto the Daring Poro, and so I wasn't really excited about that potentially happening. Now here, let's just do as much damage prevent as we can. Like, I don't think we can get things done with this Kayle. Maybe we can. She's just not, like, there's just no way that she's going to flip. She's never getting 11 power, and without the Overwhelm, she's just not going to be enough. I don't know. Maybe preventing 1 point of damage probably isn't good enough. It's an all-around pretty awkward turn with us wanting to both play Kayle and play Deny, right? Just falling so low gives the opponent the chance to hit us with get excited and finish off the day. Maybe we can just at least force some blocks next turn. Just super awkward.
Only the guilty need fear me.
It is at least a healthy pile of damage, right? I think he can probably get away with just like blocking Kayle and blocking Chip and not having to give up on all of his poros, but just been fairly awkward. Allies can't drop below 1. I don't think we can let this happen. It's such a bummer. Like, we're just so close to dying to get excited. It's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. Like, if we don't counter that thing and we can't attack, we're just kind of hosed. But then also on the next turn, you know, he's going to get to hit us for 4 with the poros and drop us to 3, and it's just another real pain point. All right. Oh, we're dead now. Okay. Don't have the mana to homecoming. If you're not familiar with this counts as a scout attack, so it'll essentially be a rally. He's going to get to attack again. All right. Bit of a bummer of a game. Drew the wrong half of the deck at the wrong time. Maybe we'll get some cool ones in these upcoming rounds. So yeah, it's nice to be back. I didn't even know the Eternal season was here. Like, I forget how I picked up on it. I think it had been happening for a few days, and I saw something on Twitter, or I saw like a post on the Play Runeterra site, and I was like, oh, it's here. Like, I saw that the date of like the 17th of July was coming up, and there was supposed to be like a standard rotation and maybe something with Path of Champions, but like I just didn't realize that Eternal was going to be a thing. I thought it's just like, I don't know, that season's like years and years down the road, and so it was very surprising for me to actually see it happening, and so it's here, I guess. We're doing it. All right, though, let's jump back into this one. A much more reasonable draw in terms of scaling. We held on to the Sprite Mother, picked up the Petal Pixie, and now we have this just very fantastic curve in the early game between the Spritelings into the Harvest, into the Petal Pixie. We get to sleep the Petal Pixie on turn 3 and then hit with Sprite Mother on turn 4. The question here is, do we want to risk the opponent playing a 2-3, right? If they play the 2-3 draw Dragon, it's going to be bad. If they play the 3-2 Challenger, it's going to be good. And I think that I'll just play it a little bit slow here. Like, I like to imagine that we can kind of control deck. Like, I know he's playing Aurelion Sol, but it's tough for me to decide here if we're actually the control deck or not in this match, given that we have a lot of scaling. It's like everything in our deck is control decky up to Aurelion Sol. And so I think we can handle it a little bit. I think our scaling might be enough to carry us through this game. Seeing things like the Mountain Goat come in is a bit awkward, but we just have to see what he hits the board with. And then a pass? That's weird. Well, we'll try to sleep the Pixie. I mean, if he wants to play a single combat onto the Pixie to prevent us from getting the singular unit, that's completely fine. And another Sprite Mother. That makes things a little bit easier. It's like, if we hadn't gone for like the big play with the additional Spriteling, right? We missed out on a bit of value in the sense that our Sprite Mother could have been slept by the Dewdrop Harvest. But picking up the second Sprite Mother is going to let us just get all of these big stats on board. Feeling pretty decent about that now. It's like we'd like to find just a little bit of interactivity. The Targonian Telstones is great. That's going to let us just come down, play the Dewdrop Harvest, and then hush out the Shyvana. So we can make her, she could drop to like a 4-4 if we really care. I don't think we care a ton about this. Like with the opponent at 8 and us having 4 units on board, I definitely look to just take this Shyvana damage and then be 6 units wide next turn. Try to finish off the game that way. Maybe the Sprite Mother is the answer. The thing that like worries me with this is, like, once we try to Dewdrop Harvest, we're going to be stuck in the spot to where our board is a problem. I think we actually want to come in and just play Sprite Mothers. We'll just take whatever damage he's going to send at us this turn. It's not that big of a deal. And then next turn we'll have the Kayle along with a potential Husk from the Telstones. I think I feel pretty decent about that. Kind of a scary attack now that we have all these 4-power units. Everything just bigger than Shyvana. Jhin? Sure. Alright, so now we have the question, do we even want to play Kayle next turn? If opponent... Like, I assume opponent just has, like, combat tricks and single combats here. And we can fight through that. Now that he has an additional unit, we are stuck adding the Kayle to the board.
Only the guilty need fear me. You offend the foes.
Assume this is going to be like a block and then a single combat, but he needs to stop 2 of our units. Judgment? No, Jesus. No thank you. Phew, that's how you come at him, huh? You just send the judgment on down? Jesus. Alright, though. Mark it a W. GG.
I rise, transcendent in divine glory.
Alright, so yeah, we'll decide what we're going to do here in the upcoming weeks. We have this couple of weeks until the next patch comes out. I'm a little interested in trying to just collect those top 100 pin badge things that you can get towards the end of the season, but it's so, like, awkward of a grind. Like, if you're looking to go back towards standard, people just like grabbing those LP for the past 2 and 3 months. It's not that it's, like, you know, incredibly challenging to gather. It's just, excuse me, it's just the time that takes to fight through all of that's a little tough, and so I don't think we'll be able to do it there. Eternal's a different story, though. All right, though, another just super awkward hand. Like, I'm having trouble deciding if we need to, like, tweak the numbers within the deck, given that we've had the game 1 to where we just drew a ton of utility, and now we've had game 2 where we draw double Kayle Zolani. Just a little bit awkward, everything that's coming at us, but
Arda's gonna make a meal of them.
not quite certain the answer there. Let's see, we're just going to have to homecoming out of this. Like, our hand just does literally nothing. This is the way I was kind of hoping the turn would go, letting us drop the homecoming onto the Merciless Hunter, prevent the biggest amount of damage, and make him spend a bunch of mana to get back on board. Like, it's not it's not something to be super excited about, but it's something, right? It's something. All right, Chip turns up with no landmarks. I appreciate it. the Charger is going to have to be good enough out of these. Just things like Moon Silver aren't going to cheapen up anything relevant. We can just start playing Kayles next turn, and so I think we'll want to get all of our units on board. We're not going to actually attack with either Chip or with the Charger, though, so let's just hit with Zoe while the coast is clear. And then we'll add our other friends back in after this turn. It's all around super awkward. This is why Chip is very interesting to me in the sense that, you know, a 3/3 for 1 mana is an exceptionally good deal. But if you don't have the landmarks, he's just, you know, not very good. But it's also fine if it's just, say, you know, like turn 5, right? And we look to play 2 units and play a spell and get Chip on the board like that, then it's not such a bad deal. And it's just games like this to where we have no landmark in sight that he just feels completely terrible. Alright, not that bad. We could, like, consider playing Pale Cascade to come in and get this. This is going to be an Avenging Vastaya off of the board. Like, we have no reason to care about value at this point. You know, we already have 1,000,000 cards in hand. It's just not something to really consider, but we need something to kind of go right with this Kayle. And so I'd prefer to be protecting this Kayle with Pale Cascade next turn in case something goes wrong. She's going to be this massive 4-power attacker, and so giving her a little bit of protection feels like a reasonable thing to do. let's start chart. We really need to Equinox off this this dragon thing, whatever it's called. It didn't turn up. That's a bit of a bummer. I guess we can just take the Serpent and try and clean up board a little bit. Maybe they'll do something weird. Like, I know we can't kill it. Him hitting Deathless with this is just super annoying, right? Typically, the Priestess just dies and you're kind of done dealing with it. But with him hitting Deathless, he's going to get 2 champions out of it. And so, a touch awkward there. But maybe he'll do something weird here, right? that's the thing you can always hope for and count on, right? You say, yeah, maybe they'll do something weird. Nice flip on the Vistaya. Okay, that's fine. I mean, a lot of these champions aren't that scary. Like, if he hits an action here, it's not that big of a deal. See what turns up. Action. Called it. I'm losing my voice. We're not going to get super far into the video today. you get so used to just talking through all of the videos, and I'm just definitely... It's been about 3 weeks since we've made one, and I've kind of lost that buildup of voice, and so we'll do one more game after this, but... Alright, that Pale Cascade coming through in our time of need. Kind of interesting. Like, I wonder if we... This isn't permanent, right? I've... outside of the Path of Champions, I don't think I've ever cast Divine Judgment. And it's like, if you're casting Divine Judgments, then you've like already won the game. But I thought it was permanent. Turns out it isn't. Alright, so how can we go from here? I think we'll add in the Sprite Mother, we'll add in the Dewdrop Harvest, and then just try and protect ourselves with Black Shield. There shouldn't be too much. Like, I guess this is a deck that would really love casting a... what do you call it? The Siphoning Strike. But I don't think we get the chance to really play around that. Like, we can just hit it with the Black Shield. I was going off, like, I want to protect the Black Shield for later in the game and then just play these denies while we have the chance, but I don't think it's going to come together.
You offend the firms.
Xerath is just big enough to cause problems. Probably got to leave Zolani at home.
Justice will be done. Deliverance.
I want a 7-power Kayle, right? She needs to be big enough to fight with Xerath. And then if he has the means to say Quicksand our Kayle, we can just play the other one with the Divine Judgment. Sure. Oh, that's so dangerous. So dangerous, just, like, having... I guess Xerath isn't really doing anything, right? It's just like, I see the Xerath, and it's like, oh boy, you're so close to just getting zinged with the Pale Cascade, but... I guess this isn't the style of deck that's super interested in...
Villains beware.
Super interested in how those landmarks are going to be blown up.
Not a leaf harmed.
So I'm going to give up on the Sprite Mother. I'm just going to look to put the sleep onto Mr. Root.
No, she's suffering. No, I'm
Alright, maybe something big can happen this round.
I tried to grow their friends before. They'll die.
Heart of the Tree turns up. It's a little late. I'm almost curious if we shouldn't just try and spike a big Celestial off of the Blessing of Targon. It's tough. Our Spritelings just aren't big enough to be super relevant, and we still just have this pretty awkward hand with the denies. The +3/+3 might be good enough, though.
I hope I never get that old.
Drops a Zir. It's going to give him a rally off of the Kingfisher. Not that big of a deal. Probably famous, famous last words, but his units aren't that big.
Follow me.
Move!
Sedition.
Interesting. I think we'll let that go. Like we can still like just block the Kingfisher. He's not that big of a deal. Then the rest of his attacks this turn just aren't very good. Like, we do have to worry a little bit about the quicksands coming in and just like popping Mr. Root and popping the Spritelings, but wow, okay. Well, the unit I was most worried about here was Xerath. Like, what if
Die with me.
Bear witness!
this is just like straight up good blocks, right? Now, interesting question here is if we want to just now Black Shield Kayle. So if he has a quicksand, she's not going to get popped, and she won't die in combat, but she also won't flip. I guess that we don't need to do that. We can just stop here. Okay, well, if we can get to the next round, we can definitely take this game down. Just we need him to do stuff that's deniable, right? That's not typically a Shuriman thing to do.
And I am theirs.
Yeah, this is pretty bad.
And I'll make the way.
Alright, Deck, you gotta cough up something good here. Did I mess that up? Did I miss doing the spirit thing? No, we just played our 6th cost landmark, right? I was confused between Heart of the Tree and the Dewdrop thing. Did we miss on
Like
using this?
threading a needle. Throw another rock.
Alright, I guess we don't need to deny these right away. We can just say, like, just block Talia next turn. Is that right? No, we're gonna be no, he doesn't have a rally just yet. Okay. He needs to play another champion to get the rally on the Kingfisher. Okay, I guess that's a choice. What a weird ass game. Like, at least you can kind of see with like how completely awkward that draw was and still being in it right to the end, that was a reasonably favorable place to be, and so I feel like we rolled pretty low into a into a pretty high roll and still didn't fall that hard. But all right, yeah, this will be our last battle. My voice is going to go. Alright, so up against Annie Jhin, I'll just look for the absolute cheapest hand that we can assemble. Chip is fine, right? If we play Chip on the first turn and trade with a Legion Saboteur, that's completely okay to me. Man, just another complete collection of super awkward draw. Like, I'm having a real tough time deciding if we need to edit these numbers just a little bit, or if this is just like a poor section of games for us to have to put forward for a video. Like, you can't always just be drawing double deny Black Shield Zolani. Like, within it's just not the way life goes, right? And so I don't know. This has been tough. It's one of the downsides. Like, I don't like to come in and just cherry pick games. Like, I think that's a very common thing to do in the space of content creation. You just cherry pick all of your games so you look like the best player in the world. And I don't like doing that kind of thing, but it also helps when you have games like this to where everything is just kind of super awkward and you don't get a real super strong feel of the deck.
Take one.
Alright, well, this is a reasonable chance just to come in and spend a bunch of mana. We need to block the Tusk Speaker with the Spritlings, and then ideally have a shutdown on the stage hand. I will say, this is not a game you ever win against Annie Jhin when you spend your 4 mana letting your Spritlings just be a blocker for the turn. And so we did get a bit lucky here. This is a 100% definite you should be attacking with your Crackshot Corsair kind of turn, and he's not. And so we might get an extra turn out of this to where in a lot of your games you won't. But this is just definitely not a hand that can survive against Annie Jhin, especially when they just already have the Jhin in hand. All right, let's call it a day with that one, and I'll give you one more game. How's that sound? Oh my gosh. It's tough. Like, when you look to, say, play the Yordle version of Kayle, you have a lot of cards like Pytos, right? And Pytos is just universally good. It's good in the early game. It picks off games when you lose in combats and stuff, and it always has something to do. And you do get to kind of like drop away from some of just like the utility-centric stuff. Like, it's like, I do want to have access to these things like Deny, but maybe it's like we should just play one copy of Deny and then switch into something like a Twin Disciplines. It's really tough for me to kind of come in and decide like that. But we'll see if this one pans out a little bit better. Zoe to start's not that bad. Picking up the star chart maybe give us a fairly strong early Celestial. And then here, like, if he just opens, I'm not entirely opposed to just throwing Zoe away. It's going to just depend on what the rest of our draw looks like. This is okay. I'll just trade Zoe out with the Legion Saboteur, and we can get on board with the Dewdrop Harvest and then continue on with the other Zoe.
Where's my axe?
Oh, even better.
I wanna play.
Behind ya.
Okay, just grind those cards out of his hand. That feels kind of decent. Now we can get the additional Zoe on board next turn. We'll see what comes out of the star chart. If we hit the Danger Noodle and we're able to use that to take Annie off the board, that would be fantastic. We'll just have to see what turns up. I'm going to lead off with the Zoe, though, just see what turns up. If he comes at us with a like a stun bird, I would rather our Zoe be the one getting stunned. All right, cool. We hit the noodle. Let's see if the stun comes in now. Danger Noodle. All right, just nothing? Weird. Okay, that's a real turnaround for us. That feels pretty good. So we'll see what happens on this upcoming turn. Like, I don't think that we want to be adding Sprite Mother to the board. I kind of want to just play the super cool star chart. See if we hit another, like, Serpent would be good. Crescent Strike is good. There's a lot of decent options we can be hitting out of this. And we're not going to hit any scaling off of this Mother. And so let's see what turns up out of this. Moon Silver is slightly interesting. I think I just want the Crescent Strike. And we can look to use it 2 turns from now. It is a little awkward not adding anything to the board this turn, though. It leaves me a little scared. Now, it's like, again, I'm not completely opposed to just say blocking with Zoe, blocking with the Serpent, but I don't think there's a ton we have to worry about at this point, right? Annie Jhin is not a deck that's good at spending spell mana, right? He could come in and say, like, add 2 units and then pirouette. Like, that would probably be the worst thing that could come in and happen to us, but I don't think that there's a ton that we have to really worry about here. Let's just clear as much board as we can. You fought hard, Zoe. We appreciate it. And she just turns right back up. Appreciate that as well. So I definitely want to be getting Petal Pixie on the board. Just going to give us the opportunity to get maximum units for the turn. And so it's like we can get the Petal Pixie, we can sleep the Petal Pixie and get another unit for next turn. 2 turns from now, we can be looking to either, you know, Crescent Strike or Heart of the Tree is what I think we'll be able to kind of come in and pull off now. And then just be off to the races. The thing that I feel like we maybe should have stopped and given some pause on the turn with would be potentially 3 banking into Crescent Strike and then looking to Crescent Strike Heart of the Tree in the next turn. But I think that this game is pretty locked down with what we have on board. Like, you don't even have to worry about... But, like, with the way the game was sequenced, I don't think we have to worry about big stun turns. But it doesn't feel like this is a space to where we're really worried about that place to where they go like stage hand, pirouette, stun your whole board, and then hit for 1 million. That just doesn't really seem like it's on the table here.
I am frightened, but I am ready.
Embrace it. Your adoring public awaits.
Oh, we should have gone ahead and played Homecoming. I'm looking to just Homecoming back the Jhin. Now where it's like we're giving him an opportunity to Lotus Trap here. We have plenty of blockers. He's not going to get through for the turn, but a little bit sloppy still.
Both your parents with the toys they made you.
I know what I must do.
Alright, good stuff. Gotta like that. So we'll add in the Zoe. I'm gonna get the Heart of the Tree down next turn. Start getting that life gain in. I'm pretty certain that we're just set here.
If they don't break, they'll burn. The few for the many.
Alright, here comes the fun.
Follow me! Your path ends here.
Pretty good shape, right? He's just got Jhin in one card. Even if it's like Jhin, Decimate, we don't have to worry about dying in that way. I think that this game is probably just done.
I am frightened, but I am ready.
Embrace it. Your adoring public awaits.
It doesn't even matter. Just spend all of your mana the remainder of the game and we'll be able to take this one down. And so, should be in pretty tip-top shape.
My blade shall illuminate the dark.
Alright, GG. Well played. we'll pull this up and talk about it a little bit more. And so, yeah, it's a bit unfortunate. I really love it when everything comes together and we just get like a really high quality set of games to where the core idea of the deck just gets showcased right from the start. And this was a little bit shaky in that sense, right? We definitely ran into a lot of these weird games to where we're drawing like 4 utility spells early in the game or double Zolani Kayle early in the game, and that's a bit of a pain point. I guess it's fair to say that that's something that'll happen, and we at least get to show the climb from the depths back up into being into more of a safe space, but it's something that's a little bit awkward. And so the numbers in here may not be perfect, but I think the idea here is still quite strong. And everything going on with this deck is actually quite powerful within this current meta. And so, again, we're getting these these spirit units down. We're looking to boost everything with these everywhere bonuses between the Dewdrop Harvest and the Sprite Mother. And then we have those nice tie-ins with the spirit units into Kayle and Zolani. And then we still have a nice utility package coming out of the Ionia cards with the recalls and the the good combat tricks and stuff. And so, I think we'll make it out of here. That is going to do it for us today. And so hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you learned a thing or two along the way and you had a good time watching. This is Bust and we thank you for being here.